Okay, good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, let's start with the next topic. I hope all of you attended the last class because there is a link between the previous class and this because we are going to continue the same topic which we have discussed in the last class. Can anybody tell me which topic we have discussed in the last class? Tell me the
Sir,
topic.
paging.
Yes, we were discussing about phasing. So quickly we'll revise what we have discussed in the last class. What do you mean by phasing? We'll discuss within a few seconds. So this is the diagram we are studying mainly for the phasing. In case of phasing, what we have done, we have divided our main memory into equal size blocks called as frames, and we have divided our process into equal size block called as pages. Size of the pages and size of the frame should be same. Then we have used the CPU will generate the logical addresses. When they generate the logical address, that is nothing but it will generate the page number it is looking. Then it will come to the page table. In page table, that particular page is stored in which frame we'll get the frame number. Once you get the frame number, add that frame number with the offset value, that is D, that is nothing but line number in that particular page. Then directly we'll go to that frame and we'll access that. So this is what we have discussed. Page table is used for identifying that particular page is stored in which frame, because here the main memory is divided into number of frames. So page can be distributed randomly anywhere in the main frame. Wherever the frames are free, there the pages will go and occupy, but the respective frame number will be entered into the page table. So that is why the use of the page table is. But one drawback of this is each page, that is each uh, process is having its own page table. Just a second. Each process is having its own separate page table. That is nothing but if process is having a 20 pages, then all 20 entries will be there in respective page table. So like this, all these page table also will be stored in the main memory itself, the location where we store, because they also need some spaces to store. That page table also will be stored in the main memory. So now let's assume that first we'll understand what is the problem in this, then we'll go to the next topic. To access a main memory, one data from this, if I need a time 10 seconds, if I want to access one variable called as A from main memory, which is stored, if I need 10 seconds to access that A variable, first I need to search the page table that is also in main memory. Then to access the page table from the main memory, I need 10 seconds. Then to access the data from main memory, I need 10 seconds. Then total, it is all about 20 seconds. Then the time to access one data from the main memory is going to get double in case of paging, because first we need to go to the page table. This page table is also there in the main memory itself. That is, indirectly we are going to the main memory only. Instead of directly going to the memory, we are first contacting the page table. That page table is in a main memory. To access this page table, we need 10 seconds. Then once we get the frame number, then again we should go to the main memory to access that variable. Then again that will take a 10 seconds. That is nothing but, if x is a time, then 2x time we are taking to access any of the data. So this is the major drawback, because these page tables are sitting in the main memory. If they are sitting in the main memory, then to access the data also needs the same time. To access the page table also needs the same time. So that's why this is becoming a burden for the operating system to manage the page tables, because if there are 100 processes in our computer, then 100 page table has to be maintained in the main memory. Even memory will be consumed more, as well as the time to access the data will be more, because they are sitting in the main memory. Indirectly, CPU is accessing main memory twice to get a single data. That is because once it is accessing page table, once it is accessing the main memory. Page table, why it is accessing? To get the frame number. Once it gets the frame number, then it is contacting the main memory. That is why to get single data, your CPU is contacting main memory twice. So the time to access main memory is becoming double. So that is the drawback of our paging, which we have studied in the last class. So that's all we have seen, how the address will be generated. So next, go to the solution of this, how the time access can be reduced. In fact, 100% cannot be reduced, but some percentage of time access can be reduced with the help of the implementation of page table, that is with the help of TLB. Here directly I'll show you this. That is translation look asset buffer. This is all of, I think all of you know about cache memory. Yes or no? I hope
Yes, sir.
everyone is having idea about cache memory. It is faster than your main memory. It is sitting in between main memory and your CPU registers. So it is faster compared to the main memory. So here, instead of storing our page tables in the main memory, what we will do, we will use some hardware that is nothing but cache memory itself. This translation look aside buffer we call, because most of the time we call our cache memory as a buffer itself, because temporarily we store the data. Permanent data will never be stored in a cache memory. So there is a hardware device called as TLB. This is nothing but our cache device. Translation look aside buffer we call. This is having a temporary data storage capacity. So why we have to use this one is, now assume that first CPU generates one page, then it will check in this TLB. That is nothing but, first it will not go to the page table for accessing. If it is going to the page table, that is nothing but it is going to the main memory for the accessing. It is going to the cache memory. First it is going to the cache memory. It will check whether the accessing page, if it is present in TLB. Yes, in the first, if it is first time accessing, it will not be there in this. Then the CPU will go to the page table, then it will get the frame number, then it will go to the main memory and it will access. But once the page has been accessed from the page table, that recently used page will come and store here. That is nothing but, if CPU has accessed the page 0, P0, and the respective frame number which we have got from the page table will come and store here. P0 followed by the frame number 14. Then P2 followed by. Recently, whatever the pages CPU is currently accessing, all those recent used pages will come and store here. So instead of going, what is the advantage of storing here then? The advantage is this. So once you store all the recently used pages here, so now for example P0, P1, P2, P3 up till P10 CPU is presently using it. Then all those 10 pages have already come and stored in the TLB. Then again CPU, if it requests P0, second time CPU will not go to the page table. What CPU will do? CPU will directly go to the TLB and it will check the TLB whether the P0 is present in the recently used pages. Yes, it is there in the TLB. Then it will access that and directly it will give here. We will skip this part. So this is what we are saving the time here. So this TLB hit is nothing but when CPU generates the page number, if we are able to get that page within a TLB, then that is called as TLB hit. When CPU generates any page number, if we don't get that requested page within a TLB, and if this CPU contacts the page table, that is called as TLB miss. Then whenever TLB miss occurs, then the respective page and the frame number will go and store in this particular TLB. Then immediately that will be given to the CPU also. That frame number and the offset value will get added, and then the physical address will be generated. The remaining process of accessing the main memory is same. But only one extra thing what we are doing is the most recently used or repeatedly used pages will be stored in a translation look aside buffer. The capacity of this TLB is very less. We cannot store all the pages. Only recently used or most commonly used pages will be stored. And it is possible to reset this. Whenever now assume that CPU is dealing with the process 1 which is having 100 pages. Then once the CPU completes with the execution of process 1, then whatever the pages were with respect to the process 1 will be deleted from this. So for that deleting again mechanisms are there. That is called as reset mechanisms, but we are least bothered about that. It is possible to reset this. So no, whatever the recently used or most commonly used pages will come here. If CPU is able to get those pages from the TLB, then the accessing time will be reduced, because the drawback of the paging is access time got doubled because it was supposed to contact the main memory. So in this case, what will happen? If you need a X time to contact main memory, then you need half X to contact TLB, because cache memory is faster than a main memory. Then at least some percentage of access time is reduced if you are able to get the pages within a TLB itself. If you don't get a within TLB, then that is called as TLB miss. Then the CPU will contact page table itself. If you don't get within a TLB, then again the time access time is going to remain same as equal to as paging. But if CPU get within a TLB, then the access time will be reduced because TLB is sitting in a cache memory. So access time required to access the cache memory is always going to be less. So that is why the TLB comes into the picture. Even in question paper, most of the time he asks explain paging with the TLB or direct paging also sometimes he asks. Is it clear guys why TLB is used?
Yes, sir.
Because TLB is nothing but it is a hardware device, translation look aside buffer. The most commonly used pages or recently used pages will be stored in this. If CPU is able to get that, then that is called as TLB hit. If it is not getting, then it is called as TLB miss. Then as usual remaining procedure, add the frame number with address, then you will get the physical address, then CPU will get the access of that, then it will contact. So this is what we call it as a paging hardware with the TLB. But the drawback of this is, even this is also having some drawback. It is possible to increase the size of this and we can store all the pages. But the problem is, if you start increasing our cache memory, then the size of the cache memory has to be increased and anonymously. Then the cost of maintaining our systems is going to be more. So that is why the drawback of this is maintenance cost is going to be more, because cache memory is costlier than your main memory, and main memory is costlier than your secondary memory. So that is why the drawback is here. It is very limited. If you want to increase the size of this, then the cache cost of the system is going to get increased. So that's why always our cache memories are very less in terms of KBs most of the time. Nowadays we are getting in terms of MBs, but earlier days we had in terms of KBs. So maximum we used to store 2 to the power 12 KB data in a cache memory. But nowadays present systems are able to store the data in terms of MBs also. But if you increase this, it is possible. Of course, we can reduce the access time, but the cost of maintaining the systems will be costlier. So that is the one drawback of this TLB also. But if you are neglecting the cost, then the access time can be reduced drastically. Because if you are able to store all the pages within a TLB, then the time to access our main memory will become very less. Because directly we'll come here, cache memory, then we'll get the frame number, then we'll contact the main memory. Within 1.5 cycle, we'll complete the access. But if you are accessing through like this, then it will take 2 cycles to access main memory. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. Next is all of memory protection. How we can protect our memory. So directly we'll see with the example. So these are the pages which we want to store in our main memory. This is the main memory which is there. Then this is our page table, page 0, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. See here, in a page 0 is stored in the second frame. Just check here, page 0, where it is. Page 0 is stored in second frame. Yes, page 0 is stored in second frame. Page 1 is stored in third frame. Yes, page 1 is stored in third frame. Page 2 is stored in fourth frame. Yes. Then page 3 is stored in seventh frame. Then page 4 in 8th, then page 5 in 9th, then page 6 and page 7. We don't have the pages only here. So that is why they have been represented as I, because we are not yet allocated. Even though page table is having more entries, we don't have any entries in the main memory. So those will be represented as invalid. If it is represented as a V, that is nothing but valid, and it has been already allocated with the frame numbers in the main memory. If it is I, that is called as invalid because it is not yet allocated with any frames and you don't have pages also. So this is how we can indicate one protection bit in our page table. Actually, whatever the page table we have used earlier, there we have only two fields, that is page number and frame number. But here one more extra field we are adding, that is valid or invalid bit. That this will be used to identify whether page is having a valid entry in the frame, main memory or not. If it is having an entry, then it is represented as V, that is valid. If it is not having an entry, then it is represented as invalid. Next, coming to the shared pages, that is nothing but how we are talking about the single process till now. Now here how the multiple processes can share the main memory. So this is process P1, process P2 is there, then process P3 is there. Even process P1 is having its own page table, process P2 is having its own page table, process P3 is also having its own page table. All these are ED1, ED2, ED3 are called as pages, but they are belonging to the separate processes. How they are getting shared here, just check the what is that, see here, page table of P1 will check first. The page table of P1, that is nothing but third frame, what is there, ED1. So nothing but process 1 first page is stored in the third frame, then process 1 ED2 is stored in fourth frame. So process 1 ED3 is stored in sixth frame. Like this, let's come to the second page, second process. Second process, go to the third frame, ED1. This ED1 belongs to the process P2. Then fourth frame, ED2 belongs to the second frame. Like this, multiple processes can share the main memory because multiple processes will be there in our operating system. Each process will be divided into multiple pages. Then pages will be randomly occupying in the main memory. But they will be identified with the help of page addresses. That is nothing but process ID also, P1, P2, P3. So this is how they will share the main memory also. Then coming to the structure of the page table. So this is one sample how we can do the multi-level paging, because I said there each process will be having its own page table. So this is one. If you are having hundreds or thousands of page tables, in that case, maintaining page table will become a trouble for the operating system. In that case, what the operating system will do? Operating system will make a two-level page table. That is nothing but outer one page table it will maintain. Then this outer page table is not to identify the main memory frames. It is only to identify the sub page tables. Means it will be having an index to the page tables itself. Means there will be one main page table. Under that page table, we will be having a sub page tables. So this main page table will be having an index to the sub page tables. So then these page tables, sub page tables will be having an references to the main memory. So this is called as two-level page table. So for this, usually this will be used when we have a huge amount of processes. Otherwise, most common paging technology will be used. Is it clear, guys? Otherwise, then we can go to the next topic, that is hash page table. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Is it clear how the TLB is used and how the multiple processes share the main memory, and then how the valid and invalid bit will be used, and then multi-level paging. Yes, is it clear or no?
Yes, sir. Cleared.
Okay. Then we'll have one more topic for the today's discussion, that is hashed page table. This is a whatever the paging concepts we have discussed till now, all are having a limited size. That is nothing but whenever you have a huge address spaces that is greater than 32 bits, then we can go for the one more paging concept called as hashed page table. In this, what we will do is, I think hashing function you might have studied in your analysis of design and algorithm subject. It is a unique value which will be used for identification of any numbers. So here CPU will be here and it will generate the logical address, that is page number and D. Then in case of hashed page table, what we will do is, page whenever CPU generates the page number, it will go to the hash function. Then the hash function will not go to the page table. It will go to the hash table. That is nothing but one unique number it will identify. That unique number is nothing but linked list will be implemented within a hash table. Linked list, I think all of you know. First, it will generate one unique number called as Q. Then it will check whether the Q is equal to the page which CPU has generated. If Q is equal to P, then this is the address of the main memory frame. So in this case, Q is not equal to P. So it will not select this. Then we have a pointer to the next block. Then it will check whether the P is equal to P. That is nothing but whatever the page CPU is requesting and whatever the hash table is having an entry. If P is equal to P, yes, it is true. Then R is the address. This particular page is stored in R address. That is nothing but this is a main memory address. If P is equal to P, then we will select this R address from here and it will be given to this. R plus D will become a physical address. If you don't get in the second slot also, then again we'll check the third one, fourth one, fifth one. So it is continuous process because it is a linked list. There is no size limit. But the problem is, if you keep assume that you didn't get in the first attempt, you didn't get in the second attempt, you didn't get in the third attempt, assume that you got in a 100th attempt. To access 100th linked list value, how many access you need to do? First, you should go for this, then take a reference of the second one. It is as like your linked list reference. So then third, fourth, fifth, like this, you have to keep on verifying all, whether it is equal to the page requested by CPU, whether it is equal to the hash table entry. If it is so, then take the address of that and give it to the physical address. So this is called as hashed page table. It is not widely used. It will be used only when there is a huge address space is required. Is it clear why the hashed page table is required? Students, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, this is hashed page table. Then one more we have inverted page table. So in case of inverted page table, as we already discussed, each process will be having its own page table. Assume that 100 processes are there, then definitely 100 page tables will be there. So that has become already, we know that it is going to be a big burden for the operating system to maintain. So one technology has addressed this issue also. In fact, it is not so efficient, but still he addressed this issue. How he addressed this, instead of maintaining 100 page tables, what he tried to do is, he did only one page table which can hold all the pages of all the processes. That is nothing but irrespective of the number of processes, we are going to have only one page table in common for all the processes. Even though if you have 100 processes, only one page table will be there. So how you will identify which page belongs to which process? For that, he has added one extra field in the page table that is called as process ID. That is nothing but P1 page number, P2 page number, P1 page number, P2 page number, like that. So even in case of inverted page table, CPU generates, CPU will be giving us the process, from which process, which page it needs. Then the offset value will be there, that is line number. Then the process ID and P will come here. Then they will check to which process ID CPU is looking. In that process ID, which page number it is looking. Then here we'll get the frame number, that is nothing but our I value. Then that I will be returned to the CPU for the physical address translation. But this page table is going to get common for all the processors. But here the challenging task is to identify that particular page belongs to whom. How do you identify that? With the help of PID, that is process ID indicates to which process that particular page belongs. Once you get which process that particular page belongs, then we can get the frame number of this particular page. Here one more column you can add. So that is nothing but I column. that is nothing but our frame number in which the particular page is stored, and that page belongs to which process PID. So this need to be addressed, but it is not going to be more efficient because definitely the PID maintenance, if you have more thousands of processes, then the page table size will enormously get increased. So it will become a burden for the operating system again. But if you are getting hectic to maintain multiple page table, then this is a one solution. Instead of going for the multiple page tables, you can go for the single page table, but you should be careful about identifying to which process this particular page belongs. So that will be identified with the help of process ID. Then once you get a process ID and a page number, then you can get a frame number, then give it to the CPU. It will convert it into physical address. Then you can easily access the main memory in which the particular page is stored. So this we call it as a inverted page table. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay, only one topic is remaining from our third module, that is segmentation. This will take in a Monday's class, then we'll finish it up with the third module. In most of the question paper, he asks segmentation also. So only one important topic is remaining from this, that is segmentation. How it is different from paging, we have to study, because segmentation is an advanced topic of the paging. So most of the time we will avoid paging. In that case, we will use a segmentation. But in your exam, compulsorily one question will be on paging, and one question will be from segmentation, and one will be from that continuous memory allocation. So whatever the three topics we have studied, from each topic, one question will come. So that is one bit of question. And one more in third module, total you will be having two questions. One complete question will be from the deadlock chapter, and one complete question will be from this paging, continuous memory allocation, and segmentation. So whichever the chapter you feel easy, that you can thoroughly study, either deadlock chapter or this chapter. But if we mix, we cannot help. So better if you are thinking of entire 20 marks, then both chapters you have to study, so that you will get an option, whichever you feel easy, that you can attend it. But in deadlock, definitely one problem will be there. In fact, one video I have shared on that, how to solve the problem. If you are not clear, once you are back to the college, we'll solve the problem on that also once again, because it is a compulsory problem. It is going to be an exam. So any doubts with respect to the today's class or any other previous topics? Say yes or no, guys, so that we can stop the class. Then we'll see the next topic in the next class only.
No, sir.
Okay, shall I close the class then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mm.
Okay, sir.